right. Thank you everyone for joining us for the next in our short and sweet webinar series. And today we're going to be talking all things SilonTEX. Some of you may have come across this before, and some of you SilonTEX might be completely new. So hopefully by the end you'll feel confident about knowing what it is and what it offers. We're good to go. Sorry, my phone is buzzing madly, so let's go. And I will just ignore that distraction. I apologize for that. Now, what we're going to cover today is I'm going to run through basically what Silon is and then what it offers, give you some practical hints about how and when you'd prescribe it and what that means for ordering, and then let you know the cost. I've got one case example and then I can answer some questions if you have any by the end. So SilonTEX, for those of you who've never come across it before, it's a silicone impregnated fabric and it's only 0.5 millimeter thick. It's a very thin layer of soft and stretchy silicone, and it is considerably more durable than any other forms of silicone that you will have worked with before. But the real advantage of it is that we can stitch it into a garment, so it combines compression and silicone therapy in one. Now, this table, sorry, there's a lot of information on the screen. This table is compares like a gel sheet, like Seeker Care, Gelmate, New Gel, those sorts of things, with SilonTEX fabric. Now, this is not designed in any way to denigrate or be critical of those gel sheets, because of course they absolutely have their place. But if you are deciding will you use silicone gel sheeting or will you get SilonTEX stitched in, this allows you to sort of consider what each offers. So in terms of durability, SilonTEX, well, it's manufactured by a company called Biomed Sciences, based in the US, and you may have come across some of their other products. They manufacture the utilise range of gel sheets, gel foams, silicones, and they also make SilonTEX, which is the low temperature thermoplastic, and they manufacture SilonTEX, which is the high temperature thermoplastic used for like acrylic face masks in burn management. So it's a pretty good pedigree, really. So they've used that technology to provide a very durable product which will last 6 to 8 months, which then warrants stitching into a garment. I have to say, the first time I saw SilonTEX, I thought, oh, you know, you'll never, why would you stitch something in if it only lasts 4 to 6 weeks, which is probably the most common range for the gel sheeting, but this is a different type of product. It's sewn directly into the garment, so it stays in the same place. You don't have to take it off, wash it, or doesn't need to be tacky to stay on the skin. In terms of wear and care, there's no difference in the way that you treat the garment. You can gentle machine wash it or hand wash it, and the SilonTEX requires no extra consideration. It's very conformable and it fits anywhere on the body. And if it's in mobile areas like, you know, over the deltoid or the olecranon or on the hand, it's not going to roll up and move because it's stitched into the garment. It is low profile, and you can modify the thickness. And just as an example, I am currently seeing someone who's had extensive keloid excision from the anterior chest, and that's a little concave, so it's always challenging to get good compression there anyway. So what we've done for this person is we've organised a memory foam pad that goes under the garment. The garment side of the pad is covered with cotton lining. The underside, the skin side, is lined with SilonTEX. So We get the compression garment, enhanced compression with the memory foam padding, and SilonTEX in direct contact with the skin. So you're kind of managing to tick 3 boxes. Obviously it combines with pressure, and as I mentioned, it is quite an elastic and flexible fabric. It's easy to use because basically you stitch it in and then the patient doesn't have to give it any additional consideration. And one thing that I think a lot of people don't realise is it is a breathable textile. It still has that occlusive function that silicone requires, but it is breathable. Although I must clarify that by saying in hot temperatures, in really hot weather, you can't honestly say that it's sufficiently breathable to help manage the temperature. So where do you put it? Well, you can put it anywhere, and I'm just going to work our way through the areas of the body. On a head or a face, you are most commonly using a mask or a chin strap. It's ideal for tricky areas around the jaw, certainly around the neck. It's brilliant around ears because that's a very difficult area to apply other forms of silicone. Certainly suitable all over the face, and also brilliant around the mouth, another area that's almost impossible to have gel sheeting. On the arm, great for mobile areas like the olecranon on the wrist, but of course you can put it anywhere you like on the forearm or the upper arm. Over the hand, I actually think this is where SilonTEX really comes into its own in the hand and the feet, because gel sheeting and there are so many challenges with using other forms of silicone. Not impossible, and they certainly offer assets, but you know, trying to put a compression glove over gel sheeting on the dorsum of the digits would be ludicrous. It's just not possible. But you can stitch the SilonTEX over the dorsum of the digits in a glove, and then you get really good silicone therapy in a very, very user-friendly way. So dorsum of the digits, hand, wrist, as I mentioned, and it's also really great in web spaces, particularly if you couple that with slant inserts. Upper torso, the more mobile areas or the tricky areas in terms of compression, the clavicle, scapula, certainly in the sternum, and I would suggest that that's best doubled up with a sternal strap, where it really helps you get good compression over the décolletage and the sternum generally. And as I mentioned earlier, the deltoid, and certainly around the breast, which is also another tricky area to get decent silicone therapy contact. The lower torso, you can use it anywhere you like, but it's particularly helpful over lateral hips where it's more mobile, inner thighs, and the gluteal fold and the gluteal crease, also very tricky areas with gel sheeting. Legs, anywhere on the leg, of course, but if we're considering sort of the lower leg, it's particularly helpful around the Achilles and the malleolus, particularly if you have some built-in padding. And if you didn't watch our webinar on achieving compression in the dips, we talk specifically about the malleolus in that, so that might be worth a relook. You can find that on our YouTube channel, Jobskin ANZ. And then finally, the foot, I'm really repeating what I said, either talking about the leg or the hand, but again, dorsum of the digits, dorsum of the foot, and around the malleolus is particularly helpful. Now, how much do you put in? And I think I can save you some pain here, because one of the very early times that I used SilonTEX, I put far too much in a garment because this person had very, very aggressive scarring, predominantly on the lateral aspects of their thighs, but it was coming across to the anterior and the posterior surface, and I put too much on, and it was just too difficult to get the garment on. Biomed Sciences actually have a demonstration garment where they have fully lined a long-sleeved vest with SilonTEX, and I would have to say apart from the fact that our climate is hot, don't ever do that because it will be too hard to put on and take off. So practically, or, I suppose technically, I would say maximum of 50% of the circumference of any garment, but practically I would say go for 30%. So you can have small patches of SilonTEX that you target particularly troublesome scarring, or if you're needing to cover a larger area, and let's say it's bigger than 30%, what I would suggest is that you consider alternating placement. So we normally provide a patient with 2 garments, one to wear, one to wash. What I would suggest is in one garment, you put the SilonTEX over 30% of the circumference. In the second garment, again, you might put 30% of SilonTEX, but in a different area. So that generally 12 hours wear of SilonTEX is ideal. So rather than having one garment without anything and one with SilonTEX, you've basically got 2 with SilonTEX, but in 2 different areas, so that that particular area of skin has got one with and one without. I hope that makes sense. And I'm certainly happy to talk through any case challenges that you have with that regard. But so what you need to do is you need to select where you want the SilonTEX to go. And there's 2 key ways you can do it. One is take a photo and then print that photo on the photocopier and draw an outline of where you want the SilonTEX to be. Or alternatively, you can use the TBSA map, that's total body surface area map form that is on the Jobskin website, and you can draw on there where you would like it. Just going back to the photos, if you do take photos with a tape measure in place, like if you're measuring a limb, if you've still got the arm tapes, say for example, in place, take the photo like that, then draw your outline on the photo, because then you'll get an extremely accurate placement. So cost, there's 4 sizes, and if you do the maths here, you will work out very quickly that SilonTEX is a very economical way to provide silicone therapy, because if you're getting 6 months use out of this area of silicone, if you compare that to the cost of gel sheets, and I think from memory, I think the working cost of a sheet of Silicone at the moment is running at about $120 a sheet, and that's for a 10 by 15 square. So and that lasts 4 to 6 weeks. So if Silicone is or Gelmate or New Gel, if that's what you need, totally brilliant. But if you are looking for something that's more economical and long-term, and the other attributes that SilonTEX offers, you can see it's it's very economical. Those sizes are based on the size that's actually stitched in, and we calculate that when you put your order in, and we can quote that prior to the garment being made. We are looking at revising those sizes just because there's a big jump between 3 and 10 centimeters. So we're trying to find something that's more user-friendly for you and more cost-effective. So just to finish up, a case example, and I apologise that our photos here are, they are when the scarring is almost mature, but I didn't think to take photos earlier in the process. But this was a gentleman of Filipino origin, so had a very high risk of hypertrophy, and in fact he had arguably, he was right up there with the most aggressive scarring that I've seen, and but his hands were largely spared except for the left hand, and he had this quite aggressive scarring developing, most notably over the dorsum of the hand. So what we did was we provided him with just a standard glove, but in that middle image there, you can see that the glove's been half folded back to show the SilonTEX that was basically stitched over the whole of the dorsum of the thumb. He had no problem getting that on and off, and that meant that he actually had almost round the clock SilonTEX. That was his preference. He was able to tolerate that. But as I say, 12 hours wear is often adequate. And just because I mentioned slant inserts earlier, we didn't use them here because he didn't have scarring into the web spaces. If he had, I would have used slant inserts with SilonTEX in there. All right, just very quickly, how do you order? We tell you this at the end of every webinar. You use the relevant measuring form plus the order form cover sheet. You send it to our customer service division. And I say this too, but if you haven't been on Jobskin.com, please do go check the website, because we've got an enormous range of resources there under the support and training tab. Videos, links to the webinars, measuring tips and tricks, past newsletters, literature reviews, whole lot of content there for you. And Veronica in New Zealand and myself in Australia, we're here to help you. You're best to contact us via email, but our phone numbers are also there. And the design team, our awesome design team, are also available to help you with any kind of construction conundrums, or if you need to know whether something is physically possible, they're your go-to people. So thank you for your time. If you have any questions, then you can unmute and ask them, or you can pop them in the chat if you get stage fright, and Adam will share them with us all, and I'll attempt to answer anything for you.
Doesn't seem like we have any immediate takers at this stage. No, I don't think there'll be too many questions then. Yeah, if there's any other questions, you can always feel free to email us, as Rosemary said. But aside from that, thank you for attending our webinar today. I hope you guys got something out of it. Remember to visit the website as well to see when our next webinars are, as well as our YouTube channel for previous webinars. And we hope to see you next time.
Bye then. Thanks for your time.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Pleasure, Kathleen.
Thank you.